logs, drafts of remarks, and handwritten notes from Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. In the ruling, the judge said that Congress had a strong public interest in obtaining the records and that President Biden has the authority to waive executive privilege over the documents. She also rejected the former president's claim that his executive privilege exists in perpetuity, saying, quote, presidents are not kings. Barring a court order, the National Archives plans to turn over the records to the committee by Friday. Lawyers for the former president say they will appeal that ruling, Dave.
Sonia, the Democrat-led committee investigating has subpoenaed 10 more ex-Trump administration officials, including Keith Kellogg, who was in the White House on January 6th and told me on the Fox News Rundown podcast last month it was not an insurrection, just a riot gone bad, and he's willing to testify.
You know, my dad told me years ago, make sure you just tell the truth, then you only have to remember one story. And I saw the story, and I saw what happened out there.
President Biden will go to Baltimore today, touting the House-passed infrastructure bill and dealing with supply chain issues.
I know the cost of gas, groceries, and rent seems to be harder and harder to handle.
Now, Republicans blame Biden policies for higher energy costs and rising inflation. We'll get an update on consumer prices next hour. The NFL has fined the Green Bay Packers $300,000 for violating COVID protocols. Star quarterback Aaron Rodgers also fined. He missed Sunday's game infected by COVID, facing a big backlash for saying back in August he was immunized. Though Rodgers remains unvaccinated, he told the Pat McAfee show,
to anybody who felt misled by those comments, I take full responsibility for those comments.
Rodgers hopes to play this Sunday if he twice tests negative for COVID. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Houseworth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:03:55 right now in Columbia. It is 52 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting mostly cloudy skies. Our high today, 68. Showers are likely tonight with the overnight low 45, and then tomorrow on Veterans Day, a little cooler, but a beautiful day. We have a lot of ceremonies in mid-Missouri tomorrow, sunny, and a high of 54. Good morning, everyone. We begin this hour with the Joseph Elledge trial as a Boone County jury listened intently to more than 6 hours of testimony from Columbia murder suspect Joseph Elledge on Tuesday. Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight grilling Elledge for a few hours. Now, folks, some of this stuff is going to be very graphic. We're describing it as best we can because it directly relates to the case. Just a warning on that. Dan Knight grilling Elledge for a few hours on the stand, saying that he had threatened to kill his wife before. Knight also accused Elledge of describing his daughter, and this is a direct quote, as an effed up little runt, end of quote, which Elledge and defense attorney Scott Rosenblum disputed. Rosenblum immediately wanted a conference with the judge, and they had a dispute in front of the judge, couldn't hear everything that was said. Knight replayed an audio recording for the jury, and Elledge testified that when he said that, he was speaking hypothetically. Knight told the jury that Elledge worked out all the time with weights and was twice as big as his wife. The prosecutor also says that Elledge berated his wife for eating too much after their child was born. Knight also accuses Elledge of lying that when he testified that Munchie G yelled at him at times. Defense attorney Scott Rosenblum describes G's October 2019 death as a tragic accident and not a murder. Now, Scott Rosenblum also asked questions of Elledge on the witness stand yesterday for hours, and we'll have some of those comments and some of the highlights of those That testimony coming up at the bottom of the hour. Meantime, Boone County Sheriff's deputies need your help in finding a murder suspect accused of killing a man near Columbia. The incident happened Monday afternoon. 36-year-old Mark Allen Achterberg of Columbia is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action and is believed to be driving a red or maroon Ram pickup with an unknown registration. Deputies say Achterberg shot and killed Justin Stidham on Monday at Stidham's home on North Kent Drive. ABC 17 News reports deputies interviewed a neighbor who says Achterberg threatened to shoot the 32-year-old Stidham on Sunday for allegedly stealing his truck. Anyone with information on the suspect's whereabouts is urged to call Crime Stoppers. That number here in Columbia is 573-875-TIPS. State transportation officials say contractors working on the Highway 54 Bagnell Dam Bridge in Lake Ozark have now discovered the bridge deck is in worse condition than anticipated. MoDOT's bridge rehabilitation project started in September. The existing Bagnell Dam Bridge was built in 1929. Crews making repairs to the bridge deck, expansion joints, sidewalks, and barrier walls. The Bagnell Dam Strip remains open at this time. A key Missouri lawmaker whose district includes Boone County says it's time for the legislature to step in regarding CPS. Missouri House Education Committee Chair Chuck Basie of Rocheport says the board ignores parents, and he's also critical of the board's vote this week to extend the indoor mask requirement.
There's a couple bills that I'm going to file. Number one, a recall. You cannot recall a school board member, so we had that moving last year. It just didn't make it, so I'm going to file that bill again.
Chairman Basie spoke on Wake Up Columbia. The pre-filing of bills for the 2022 session starts on December the 1st. Drill team at Missouri Military Academy in Mexico will be performing an exhibition at the State Veterans Home in Mexico tomorrow for Veterans Day. MMA is a college preparatory military boarding school for boys in grades 7 to 12. It's in Mexico, Missouri. Tomorrow's performance at the Veterans Home is not open to the public. However, they'll have a separate event coming up tomorrow morning, and that one will actually be at the school itself on the football field. We'll have details on that for you coming up a little bit later right here on Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle. Our newscast is brought to you live this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all of your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. Pretty impressive game last night for the Missouri Tiger men's basketball team. 5 players in double figures. Mizzou beating Central Michigan 78-68. The Tiger sophomore Ronnie DeGray III leading the team with 13 points and 12 rebounds. And a reminder that Mizzou football back in action, finally back at Furrow Field in Columbia for a home game. Be nice to see. The Missouri Tigers will be taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks coming up from Columbia, South Carolina. They're coached by Shane Beamer. Gamecocks and the Tigers will play Saturday afternoon. We'll kick it off at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon at Furrow Field in Columbia. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. You can see details clubcarwash.com to find a location near you. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. All right, Kevin, thank you. And our weather is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. Clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 55 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
It's 6:09 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Our traffic check with midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Things are quiet right now on the roads in mid-Missouri. Give yourself some extra time. And again, as Kevin has reported, heavy rain. Not expecting anything severe. Nothing to worry about there. But give yourself extra time, especially this evening, as some of that rain at times will be coming down heavy. Be prepared for that. That won't impact us until later in the day. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Houseworth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Our congressional delegation comes here after advancing legislation to build back better for women, which represents the most ambitious and consequential climate and clean energy legislation of all time.
The U.S. takes the lead with our president. The Congress puts this in the Build Back Better Act to take it even further. And now we see all the other countries in the world taking this methane pledge. So that's why we can do things with U.S. leadership.
Climate change stuff. We'll have more on this coming up maybe in the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell at 6:25. Nancy Pelosi and Build Back Better for women. Do you know what she's talking about there? Is this more women empowerment stuff, which I think is great. Build Back Better, because you're kind of in touch with the...
I mean, I am a woman. Yeah. I didn't know there was anything special in the Build Back Better plan for women.
I didn't either. I don't know what Nancy's talking about. Who, by the way, she's at it again. She is the queen of hypocrisy. Busted again. She officiated a wedding in California. All these people not wearing a mask, which that's fine. The place where she was, you don't have to wear a mask, but she's one of these people that's all about, you got to wear a mask, it's going to protect you. And then even if you got the vaccine, you still got to wear a mask because it's going to protect you, see? But then she's out in public again, not wearing a mask. And that
I can't get past somebody picking Nancy Pelosi to officiate their wedding. I can't get past that part of it.
And people wonder why people are so hesitant to do things like vaccines and masks, besides the whole thing that, we're Americans. But when you see these people that want you to do that and harping on wearing masks, get vaccinated, and she's not even doing it.
Hypocrisy.
Again, this is not the first time. Remember the whole thing when she's going to get her hair did?
Yep, it happens time and time again, and it's not just her. We've seen, the mayor in Chicago. We've seen John Kerry. It's the Democrats' MO. They want to control us, but they don't want to be controlled.
Gavin Newsom was apparently at the wedding, and he's already had to address this when he was clamping down on the constituents of his state of California. You got to wear masks. You got to do this. He was busted at that fancy French restaurant without a mask.
The spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted, and I got to own that. And so I want to apologize to you.
Yeah.
Well, and even right here in Missouri, we had Sam Page, who was, the mask king in St. Louis, enforcing it on everyone else. And he was, at a Blues game, I think, and said, and I think most of the time the excuse was like, well, I was eating, or I was thinking about eating, or I was in a place where there was food. I could smell food. I don't know. There's a lot of excuses.
Hypocrisy.
And these are facts, by the way, because you get into a discussion, let's say like with coworkers, or you're doing happy hour after work, and the Democrats this and the conservatives this, and you can speak in generalities. Well, they're hypocritical. And next time you're at happy hour, you can say, Pelosi wants everybody to wear a mask except for herself. Twice now, at least. Sam Page, St. Louis County. John Kerry. You can point to Rashida Tlaib. Remember, some bigwig was showing up in her district, and the guy's like, oh, sorry, put on a mask. And you can't hear it that well here, but she said, oh, these are just for show because there's cameras here.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh, he's the one unmasked guy.
Because I got a Republican cracker.
I got people here watching. Okay, these are just for the cameras. So that's hypocritical. Those are people that want you to wear masks. They won't wear them themselves. And all these people we've mentioned, John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, Sam Page, Rashida Tlaib, Gavin Newsom, what do they all have in common?
They're all liberals?
They're all liberal. So these are facts that we present to you this morning. Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Houseworth is here.
Good morning, Brandon.
There is Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
That's the big story of the day. Hannah, the producer, is back. My name is Brandon Rathert. A little bit closer to home. I love this because this is something that we keep talking about. Chuck Basie said it on our show yesterday. And is what we keep hearing, is what I keep hearing from parents, especially within the Columbia Public School District. School officials are not listening. Regardless of your political opinions on CRT, which is happening, regardless of your opinions on that, regardless of your opinions on whether or not kids should mask in school, they shouldn't, by the way. Let them be kids. Let's move forward, okay? Regardless of your opinions on that stuff, the biggest issue that I am seeing, lack of communication. These people from the school district, from what we are hearing from parents, are not getting good communication with the school board. When they are able to talk to somebody, without fail, people are telling us they feel like they are being dismissed. There is a dismissive attitude, and it is without fail with the parents that I have talked to. State Representative Chuck Basie said the same thing. I believe he said that on the show yesterday. You can go back and hear that on the Wake Up Columbia podcast on demand anytime, all the time on our website. So when another local news outlet comes out with a headline that says, Stephanie, would you mind reading that headline for me, please?
I can. CPS parent wants better communication after incident at Battle Elementary.
CPS parent wants better communication after incident at Battle Elementary. Now, this has to do with an incident. Some kids were out at the playground or something, heard noises. And so the little kids, they go in, they take them into the classroom. This was not a big deal, but apparently one of the parents is, there's a kid saying, hey, we're in the classroom and this is going on. The parent doesn't know what's going on. She's relying on the play-by-play from a very young kid. And when we were kids, hell, I'm 50 and I still exaggerate a lot. But when you're a little kid and you're trying to relay something that you think is serious, which turned out to not be that big of a deal, the parent, and this is a headline from our news partners at ABC 17. Parents saying, I want better communication, because put yourself in that parent's shoes at the time. If they're talking to this young kid and they're describing this horrific scene, at that time, that's the most important thing to that parent. At that point in time, the most important thing in the world is your kid and what's happening. CPS parent wants better communication. Loudoun County's getting crazy. That's like it.
Getting crazy?
Is it fair to call that ground zero for the battle on education?
Probably.
Loudoun County is a school board where parents have gone and they've spoken out against CRT. I think even Merrick Garland said the impetus for wanting to sick the Department of Justice and the FBI on parents is Loudoun County. He's got the whole thing wrong because he saw a video of a parent being having to be subdued because he was upset because the president of the school board lied, and it had to do with his daughter being raped in a women's restroom at the school. And yeah, that dad had to be restrained. Merrick Garland think, oh, that's just a parent speaking out against masks and CRT. We need to sick the FBI and the Department of Justice after these people. That was not true. Merrick Garland doesn't know what he's talking about there. But they've come forward with signatures, and they're basically calling for the removal of the entire school board for everybody, which would be interesting. Blake Willoughby on our local school board, Columbia Public School Board, he announced that he's going to seek a second term. I have already sent an email out to two people this morning, Aaron Saylor and Luke Neal, who both ran for school board last time unsuccessfully and lost, and we put in more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. So I'm wondering if Luke Neal will run again. Coming up, Trump, he gets I guess, handed a loss in court. We might get into this coming up in the daily D.C. Rundown here on 93.9 The Eagle. What do you have? What's underneath the circus tent this morning?
Well, I think we will get into that. We'll also get into, do you remember which city Trump called a disgusting rat and rodent-infested mess?
Yeah, that's easy. I think even if I didn't know the answer, I would know the answer. All right, that comes into play today. Daily D.C. Rundown with 1,000 miles, still going strong. I'm Brandon Rathert for Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, they handle my vehicle for me. I've been going there since before it had 100,000 miles. And I told them, one of the things I told Gus and Paula at Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, listen, I like not having a car payment. I paid for it. I want to keep it on the road. I want to keep it running well. And I am willing to make that investment to keep it running well. Man. They've just done outstanding work for well over 30,000 miles, several years now. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop has been taking care of my car, servicing my vehicle. And here's what I like about going to these small local folks. Yeah, I know all the stuff's in the computer, but these are the same people that work on my car every time. And I don't feel like I get that when I go to, a really large chain place. When I go to this local place, it's the same people working on my car. They know that thing very well, and I appreciate that. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. They're on Vandiver in Columbia and also in Booneville.
Wake Up Columbia with Brandon Rathard. Inspired and on fire. 93.9 The Eagle.
Those people are living in hell in Baltimore. They're largely African American. You have a large African American population, and they really appreciate what I'm doing.
Donald Trump and some comments made some time ago about Baltimore, and it kind of comes into play today. That gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Pell on 93.9 The Eagle.
Yeah, so I think following those comments, he called it a disgusting rat and rodent-infested mess after he got in a spat with one of the congressional members. But we're talking about Baltimore today because President Biden is going there today. his first stop in his national tour, which hasn't he been on tour for a while? But he's talking about the infrastructure plan. Apparently, it will include $17 billion for upgrading ports. So with all of the talk about the supply chain issues and everything else, he's starting there. I think it's important to know that there are 90% of voters in Baltimore backed Biden in the election. So it's kind of like going amongst your own, like it's an easy, like a softball place to go. Like, we're not going to go anywhere where, somebody might ask a hard question or, be in any way opposed to Biden.
And I'm thinking, his brain's been on tour for a while.
And so that's where he's at today. Trump is also in the news. Yesterday, a federal judge rejected his request. He was claiming executive privilege over some of these documents related to January 6th. Those documents are in the possession of the National Archives. But what the judge said was essentially President Joe Biden had the authority to waive executive privilege, that there's kind of this tension between the incumbent president and past presidents. And I think the law on whether past presidents...
Is that what the judge said? There's some tension between
their claims to executive privilege. And so she said the incumbent's view is accorded greater weight here. But of course, Trump has already appealed. And so I think she had ordered that the documents be turned over by Friday. But that's obviously still up on appeal. So maybe Friday, maybe not. And you also have to think, so also related to January 6th, there are a bunch of more subpoenas. I don't know what number we're up to. I guess they issued 10 more subpoenas yesterday. But you have to think, these folks, they're working as fast and as furious as they can because they see the writing on the wall, I think, for the midterms. And, this is a congressional committee that got set up that's issuing all of these subpoenas. So they're also kind of racing against time. I think Republicans will, I think rightfully so, being trying to delay this whole thing and pick up some votes in the midterms. They are, but the Democrats are issuing subpoenas left and right, trying to keep the focus on Trump and on January 6th. We also had the case yesterday about the inmate who wants to have his minister or his spiritual advisor in the execution chamber with him. It is being reported based on questioning that the justices are skeptical about that. And I guess I found this interesting. I guess Justice Samuel Alito is quoted as saying, "What's going to happen next when the prisoner says, I have a religious belief that he should touch my knee? He should hold," because I guess the argument was he just wants him to touch his foot. And so then the justice said, what about touching my knee? He should hold my hand. He should put his hand over my heart. He should be able to touch my head. We're going to have to go through the whole human anatomy on these series of cases. So really the justices, were reviewing his claims, but also thinking about what is this going to mean for us in the future as far as executions go.
And the other thing, I think last time that you've got, you're talking about religion and what priests can and can't do in court when it comes to touching people, it was a way different story than what we're seeing in front of the Supreme Court. 628, welcome to the show. Let's think about for a second here what Trump has done since he's not president. Number one, Biden was all about unity, unity, unity. We heard that on the day he took office, unity. And we see that absolutely not happening on the part of Biden. Trump said this just last week.
I wish he'd do well. I love the country more than I love anything.
So since he's left office, Trump has complimented the current president, where we know the current president, every chance he gets, he takes a dig at Trump. Remember this, too. From the day after the inauguration speech, this from Biden talking about Trump.
President wrote a very generous letter. It's because it was private. I will not talk about it.
So Trump left Joe Biden a very nice letter. He said just last week, I want the president to do well. You contrast that with what Joe does when it comes to Trump.
Or with what was left in the White House when Trump got in, right?
Yeah. And Trump still creating jobs. People are still writing books about their time in office with Trump. So to bottom line this, since Trump has left office, he is still creating jobs. He has complimented Joe Biden, and he left him a really nice letter. So a judge says no to Trump. This is one of the stories Fox News is working on. They'll have more on this coming up for you at 6:30. Brian Houseworth is here. A murder in Boone County yesterday. Where did this happen? He has that story for you coming up at 6:31.
Stop by Club Car Wash to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details on clubcarwash.com and to find a location near you. It's 55 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Former President Trump loses a legal fight to block some of his White House records from being released to the House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the Capitol.
Trump argued his White House records are protected by executive privilege, but the judge disagreed and said President Biden is best positioned to determine whether to waive that privilege.
Fox's Carmen Roberts. 3 Boston police officers are shot and wounded during a standoff with a man who'd reportedly been threatening people with a gun. He's dead.
The suspect barricaded himself in a building for several hours before firing at officers. Acting Boston Police Commissioner Gregory Long said,
"Officers on scene returned fire, striking the suspect. The suspect suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was pronounced on scene."
The officer's wounds are said to be non-life-threatening. The investigation continues.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
Here we go. 93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 6:31 is our time. 55 degrees right now in Columbia. It's 53 degrees in Jefferson City. Cloudy today with our high of 68. Tonight, rain in the forecast with a low near 45. And tomorrow, sunshine for Veterans Day. Chilly compared to today with a high of 54. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Law enforcement agencies from across mid-Missouri are currently searching for a Boone County murder suspect who's on the run. He is 36-year-old Mark Allen Achterberg, Achterberg. He's charged with first-degree murder, accused of shooting and killing 32-year-old Justin Stidham on Monday afternoon at Stidham's home on North Kent Drive. That's just north of Columbia. Once Achterberg is captured, a judge has ordered him to be jailed without bond. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you can remain anonymous. Call Columbia Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. Meantime, Columbia murder suspect Joseph Elledge says his wife died after they argued and fought after he discovered she was allegedly exchanging sexually graphic messages with a man from China. Elledge is charged with first-degree murder for the October 2019 death of his wife, Meng Shiji. Elledge was on the witness stand testifying for more than 6 hours on Tuesday. He says his wife pushed him after they argued, that he pushed her back, and he testifies his wife pushed him again and that she fell and hit her head and died that evening. He described it, his words, as a thud when it hit the floor, the head hitting the floor. Elledge testifies he did not intentionally kill his wife, but that he panicked, and he tells the jury he put his wife's body in the trunk of her vehicle and drove to Rockbridge State Park the next day. He used a shovel to bury her in a remote area. It took about 30 minutes to do that, he says, and he feels shame about what happened. Boone County Prosecutor Dan Knight then grilling Elledge on the witness stand. He says Elledge told thousands of lies and also says he had threatened to kill his wife before. Elledge denies that allegation. Sedalia police say an 11-year-old is dead after being struck by a vehicle earlier this week. 93.9 The Eagles' John Marsh reports neighbors have been complaining about speeding in that area.
An 11-year-old girl from Sedalia Middle School was hit by a vehicle and killed Monday afternoon. The girl was hit by the car at North Engineer and East Saline Street around 3. Now neighbors who live at the scene say speeders come through the area on a daily basis, and they see more dangerous drivers every day. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
And Ashwin's mayor says space is still available for veterans or their loved ones who'd like to purchase a paver in the new Veterans Memorial. Mayor Richard Sullivan says Ashwin's Parks and Recreation plans a ribbon-cutting ceremony for 8:30 tomorrow morning. That's Veterans Day. The memorial will be located in Ashwin City Park on North College. Everyone is welcome at the ceremony. And a reminder, tomorrow is Veterans Day. Unusual this year because it's in the middle of the week. It's a Thursday. That is still a federal, state, and county holiday. The Elledge trial is scheduled to go on, if need be, tomorrow, despite the holiday, so keep that in mind. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 6:34, and our newscast is brought to you by Mid-America Mortgage. Check them out online, midamericamortgage.us. Apply now for a loan on your dream home. Our news time, 6:34. In sports, let's start with hockey this hour. The Blues and the Winnipeg Jets. Reminds me of some old games back in the 70s and 80s. The old Winnipeg Jets. They had a shootout last night in Canada, and the Blues win it. O'Reilly getting a goal in the shootout, 3-2. St. Louis with the victory. College basketball, the Missouri Tiger men's basketball team, 5 players in double figures last night. Mizzou beating Central Michigan 78-68. Ronnie DeGray III leading Mizzou 13 points, 12 rebounds as well. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory on Cherry Street in downtown Columbia. Our news time, 6:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Things are quiet right now on the roads. If you do want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Houseworth, 93.9 The Eagle.
It was so cool.
4th grade class, Booneville?
Southern Boone.
Southern Boone schools in Ashland.
Yeah, and so they put on a Veterans Day a concert, and what was really neat, there were a lot of grandparents there. We haven't gotten to spend a lot of times in schools. We didn't get to do concerts last year. And my dad, who's a veteran, got to go and see that concert, they sung the Star Spangled Banner, they sung that song, a lot of songs, and it was moving.
That's Meanwhile, awesome. In Columbia Public Schools, that's me. I shouldn't do that. By the way, I do want to mention something, and I'll mention it more than once. I was talking about the school board, Columbia Public School Board, their meetings. You can access a couple of days afterwards on their website the video of their school board meetings. I don't know how long it takes. But I also said I was not aware of any place where you can watch it. Michelle Baumstark, who was listening to our show yesterday with the Columbia Public School District, says there are several ways to consume the meeting.
Yeah, she did say that, Brandon, and she texted me as I was going into I noticed it when I was going to the Elledge coverage. She said they live broadcast online on cable. Don't know how this is pronounced, on Roku, R-O-K-U. I'm not sure what that is. Apple TV, etc. It's available the next day online to watch again and rebroadcast all month until the next meeting airs. So they are doing that. She passed that along.
My key takeaway is that Brian is more unhip than I am.
For once, don't get too carried away.
This is a small victory today.
Yeah.
I know that it's pronounced Roku.
Oh, good.
I mean, Brian did too. He said it right.
I did.
He said it right, but he wasn't sure.
Not sure what exactly.
The confidence wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's available on whatever that is. You can find it there.
So, he didn't say the Roku like the Google or the Twitter.
That's true.
So you can watch the school board meetings on various outlets as they happen, and I am appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Because isn't it weird how we expand Jefferson City schools? I don't know what they do.
It's been a number of years since I've covered a Jeff City school board in person. They very well may. I do know that I keep in touch with Ryan Burns, and I look at their packet every I guess third or fourth Friday. They had a big discussion about substitute teachers down there. There's a need, as there is many other places, but I'm not sure that they post the video on there. They very well may. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard from one of my kids that they were very excited earlier this week that they got an extra hour of PE because one of the other classes didn't have a sub, and so they just put everyone in PE, which I'm sure happens and is not a knock on my school district, but I do know that and I heard from another mom in another school district who her kid watched like 2 hours of TV, basically 2 movies in one day because of the lack of substitutes. So it's an issue across Missouri.
Yeah, it really is, and they've tried to address that, and they actually had a big discussion about it at Jeff City School Board. And as Ryan pointed out, Ryan Burns, many of our folks listening know her because she used to work for state government. It's a problem not just in Jeff City schools, but everywhere.
Matter of fact, I think the state is lowering. I shouldn't say lowering standards, but they are. I like to call it they're broadening their horizons when it comes to who they will take as substitute teachers. They're not lowering the standards. They're broadening the possibilities.
That's right. And I was going to ask, I mean, what is the daily pay of a substitute teacher at this point? It's not
$50 or something.
And it depends on the district, obviously.
Okay.
But, no benefits. That's one of the issues. I mean, you're not eligible for health insurance, et cetera. However, it is an opportunity for somebody to pick up some things. So, I'll see signs sometimes when I'm in Jeff City that they're looking for substitutes. And there's still signs in both communities about bus drivers as well, Jeff City and Columbia.
Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Brian Houseworth. Hannah, the producer, is back. My name is Brandon Rathard, 874-9390. Does anybody know how much a substitute teacher makes for did you remember what it was when you were in high school last year, Hannah?
No, I didn't make it a habit to ask substitute teachers how much money they were making.
I ask everybody, how much you make? If they're employed by a government body. Otherwise, I don't ask about salary. But like Gary Pink would come, how much you make, Coach? Like, well, I can tell you, Brandon, or you go look it up on the internet. I'm like, why don't you tell us? It's public record.
Right. I don't know how much they make, but I've had friends and I know people like retirees who would do it, part-time or whatever. And yeah, the bus driver thing's a huge issue. My son was complaining to me the other day about something that was going on the bus, and I said, you learn that bus driver's name, you be as friendly as you can, you make his life as easy as you can because he is doing us a huge favor. Mm-hmm. And I said, if we lose him, we have a problem. And I said, so I don't care what he asks you to do. You do it, you help him, you make his life easier because he's there to drive the bus and everything else is just whatever. And he's, a star for just showing up, right? And getting you safely to school.
My dad gave me the same advice when it came to dealing with law enforcement. He said, "Brandon, anytime you get pulled over, don't try to outsmart the cop. Don't try to show him that you're a bigger man. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, and don't lie." And it's worked famously over the years because I've had numerous opportunities to practice what my dad taught me when it came to dealing with law enforcement. This guy leaving NBC after almost half of his life spent with the company.
Fired an RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade, rifle fired. All 4 choppers dropped their load and landed immediately. The grenade wound clearly visible. 2 of our 4 helicopters were hit by ground fire, including the one I was in. No kidding. RPG and AK-47.
Brian Williams, that was back when he worked at NBC before he got demoted to MSNBC, doing a show, The 11th Hour, which, by the way, ratings all over the place for cable news, with the exception of Fox. MSNBC and CNN, their ratings are already very paltry anyway. Like 10 weeks in a row, they're both on a run, and meanwhile, Fox's ratings are growing, and I'm wondering, does that speak to more people getting involved and wanting to hear some of the truths about what's going on with schools and things like that? I don't know. Brian Williams saying he's leaving, saying he's not going to be renewing his contract. He wants more time with his family. Remember, he eventually was fired from NBC or let go, reassigned. They reimagined the position after he lied about his helicopter taking on fire in the Middle East years ago. And there's been a whole slew of Katie Couric recently. She's come out. She's written a tell-all book. I will say this. I'm passionately ambivalent about Katie Couric. Whatever. I applaud her honesty in this book that she's come out with. Like, she's admitting, I don't like what she did. She's supposed to be a journalist. She's admitting she left out some key quotes from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, deceased Supreme Court Justice, one time was critical of Colin Kaepernick, saying this is BS that he's kneeling for the national anthem. Katie Couric edited that out of an interview, and she admits, she says, I just considered Ruth Bader Ginsburg a hero. So, yeah, I defied journalistic credibility. I went against my own better thinking to do that because I thought this woman was a hero. And she got in trouble. She was talking with like gun rights activists or the NRA people, and she did a televised interview. And she asked them a question, and she brought in footage. She showed footage of them. She's asking them a question, and they all looked dumbfounded. When in reality, they answered her question right away. So in other words, when it came on to TV, here's basically what you heard.
Let me ask you another question. If there are no background checks for gun purchasers, how do you prevent felons or terrorists from purchasing a gun?
And the camera pans around all these people that look like they don't have an answer for the question. And that's not what happened. She edited the video. She took video where they were just like in a lull in the interview, and they're all just kind of looking around like they don't know what's going on, and used that video after she asked a question. She admitted, yeah, she lied. She said, why? Because she was trying to put forward a point of view. Man, that's gotta make you angry, Mr. Journalist.
Would not do that. I would not.
Yeah.
Of course not. On context means everything. And again, I don't know the specifics, just what you just described there. But no, and the number one thing too is to be accurate. But I'm not sure why you'd put the not you, but
she wanted them to look stupid.
Okay,
is what she did. She wanted these. She said, "What do you think? Background checks, this and that." She wanted them to look stupid, like she had worked them. Like she had tied them into knots, and they didn't. If you watch the actual footage from that point in time, they actually had an answer immediately. This from Billy. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's real name was Joan. I didn't know that, but I do know she was the aunt or great aunt of former CPS head Dr. Pete Steepleman.
Yes, for sure. I actually talked to him a couple times. I know you did as well, and he's gone to Washington to see. Had gone to Washington to see. Obviously, Justice Ginsburg. To the best of my knowledge, she never came here. And primarily, she didn't leave too much because of security. But yes, that's absolutely right. I don't think a lot of people realize that. But yes, he was it the grandson? I can't remember exactly the relation, but there was some relation there for sure.
Dan Rather's another one. Remember the whole George W. Bush thing? That was insane.
He also presented documents for the first time which indicated that once Mr. Bush was accepted into the Guard, he failed to live up to the requirements of his service, including following an order.
Dan Rather. And he... Yeah, I lied. I didn't check my sources as much as I could have. And that, by the way, you're talking 16, 17 years ago when that happened, and it is still happening in journalism. Be careful what you consume. Coming up here on 93.9 The Eagle, we're going to get into our moment of the day, 6:57. That is one big shtick. I think this will bring out the making sure that where you think you are giving your money, making sure it's going where you think it's going. So they have a bunch of tips on whether it's Veterans Day, really any charity. Go to the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau's website, bbb.org.
Thanks for making Wake Up Columbia your favorite morning show. 93.9 The Eagle.
And that's the way it is. Friday, March 6th, 1981.
Walter Cronkite. I know a lot of folks miss the days of his type of journalism, not like that of Brian Williams, who was busted lying. You lie about something like that where it involves veterans as we get ready for Veterans Day, like Brian Williams did years ago, lying about he was in a helicopter while covering the story of conflict in the Middle East and lied about his helicopter taking on fire. He's leaving MSNBC, leaving the company after 30 years. And then we were highlighting Dan Rather back in 2004, hit piece on George W. Bush, which in effect got him banished from the CBS network, and Katie Couric. I've not read her book, but some of the stuff that's out in her new book, and again, I'm ambivalent about Katie Couric, whatever, but she's very honest. She's talking about some of her competing journalists, like references to them performing certain potentially immoral acts to get stories and things like that, because the nature of the business is so cutthroat. It's so we're out to get you. And she's very honest about it. And she's honest about her inadequacies when it comes to journalism, leaving out quotes from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Very important context quotes. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer, is back.
Good morning.
It's a highlight of my day. My name is Brendan Rather. I don't like it when you're gone, Hannah. Did you catch the bouquet at this wedding?
No, it was not tossed. It wasn't thrown.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you bummed?
No.
Really? That's not what I heard. I heard somebody was really looking forward to catching a bouquet at the wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Your mama.
Yeah. I did ask my boyfriend. I said, what are you going to do if I catch it? And he said, and I quote, not a damn thing.
There it is. No, I was. Yeah, we didn't throw it. I wasn't excited. Well, I was talking to my boyfriend.
It was more or less just to give my boyfriend crap.
I've seen all those viral videos where people like drop down on one knee at someone else's wedding, which I feel like is a huge like faux pas. So sorry if you did that.
Yeah, that is. I think that's a no-no.
Oh, asking somebody to marry you at another
person's wedding, like at the reception. Sometimes I think like if you're in the family or maybe like BFFs, maybe, but I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case for you, Hannah.
No.
Your engagement should be all about you, and someone else's wedding day should be all about them.
All of them. That goes for any weddings, however many weddings you have, however many engagements you get, and they should all be about that person at that point. And
you should also be sober during engagements, right?
Well, I don't know because I've never done it sober, so I don't have experience in that realm. I will say this, and I joke a lot. Listen, I will. It was me. I get it. The marriage, both terrific women. But they said yes when I asked. They kind of bear some of the responsibility.
It takes two.
Yeah. So you cannot lay all the blame on my failed marriages at my feet.
I don't.
They said
the
yes.
majority.
I mean, you're the common denominator between the two, right?
They said yes. Kind of their
Are you
fault.
sure they said yes? Did they say like okay or maybe?
I've never fact checked those claims.
It's time for the Doment of the Day with Brandon Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
Your Doment of the Day, dumb people in the news doing dumb things, or sometimes just some really interesting stories. If you had an Atari 2600 when you was a little kid like I did, you're going to love this story. We go to New Hampshire. World record for the longest joystick of all time. Remember the little Atari 2600 joystick? You had that one button and that one lever. And that's all we had, man. And you contrast that to what these kids have nowadays. Now they're making money playing video games against each other. Yeah, it's just a stick and a button. This one, it's 9 feet tall. So you can go to this museum in Hanover, New Hampshire, and play with this 9-foot-tall joystick. It looks just like one that you would have seen in the classic Atari 2600s. And that's your Doment of the Day. Hey, what's up? I am Brandon Rathert for Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. Pro-pumping.com. And is what they do is they help people all across mid-Missouri. Because this is one of those people, it's what it's like this. You don't want to meet them because of an emergency. You don't want to meet them, oh, my God, something happened with my septic tank, and now it's literally is backing up all through the house. You don't want to meet them that way. But if you do, like what happened a couple of weeks ago with this guy, he said, I've heard you talking about pro-pumping and hydrojetting for years now. And he said, when I needed somebody, boom, I knew who to call. I knew the website to go to, which is pro-pumping.com. Now, the other thing, I'll tell you the rest of the conversation I had with that guy. He said, by the way, pro-pumping and hydrojetting now has put me on a maintenance schedule so that I never encounter that kind of problem again because it was expensive and not cool. Pro-pumping and hydrojetting.
He wants to break supply chain problems. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden will go to the port of Baltimore today to unveil his plans the day after White House spokesman Karine Jean-Pierre said,
"We're moving record amounts of goods through our ports and to shelves. We understand the frustration that Americans feel when backlogs lead to higher prices or delayed goods."
Republicans blame Biden policies for rising inflation. We'll get an update on that last month, next hour. And with Thanksgiving 2 weeks from tomorrow,
turkeys may be the new toilet paper crisis. According to the Wall Street Journal, by the end of October, turkeys were over 60% out of stock. Cranberry sauce, 20% out of stock. Yams and sweet potatoes, a quarter out of stock. Meanwhile, now might be a good time to become a vegetarian. Meat prices are soaring.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. Former President Trump has lost in court. A federal judge last night rejected his attempt to block the House committee investigating the January Capitol riot from accessing White House documents. The Trump legal team plans to appeal. Now, the Democrat-led committee has also subpoenaed 10 more ex-Trump administration officials, including Keith Kellogg, who was with the former president January 6th and told the Fox News Rundown podcast last month he's willing to testify.
That was not an insurrection, okay? That was a riot gone bad. And when they had gone down there, we didn't know that was going on until we got back to the Oval Office, till we saw it on TV. He did not. Somebody's going to have to play the tape for me and say, go seize the Capitol.
Days after the chaos at the Astroworld Music Festival, where 8 people were killed and hundreds injured, we're learning a potential crowd rush to the stage was not among emergency plans by event organizers. Attorney Rick Ramos is representing a few dozen people suing and says, as of for Travis Scott,
once aware that we have bodies floating on the crowd, body surfing right in front of him, lifeless, okay, continue on with the show.
America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 7:03 right now, 55 in Columbia. It's 53 degrees in Jefferson City. Chance of rain today, our high 68. Showers likely tonight with a low near 45 degrees. Your complete forecast coming up here in a moment. I'm Brian Houseworth. Good morning, everyone. A Boone County jury listening intently to hours of testimony from Columbia murder suspect Joseph Elledge on the witness stand on Tuesday. I was in the courtroom for 5 hours yesterday. He continued to testify into the evening. There were breaks in there, but at least 6 to 6.5 hours of testimony. Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight grilling Elledge for a few hours. He says that Elledge had threatened to kill his wife before. Knight also accused Elledge of describing his daughter as, and this is a direct quote from the courtroom, an effed up little runt, end of quote, which Elledge and defense attorney Scott Rosenblum disputed. Knight then replayed an audio recording for the jury, and Elledge testified he was speaking hypothetically. Knight told the jury Elledge worked out all the time, was twice as big as his wife. The prosecutor also says Elledge berated his wife for eating too much after their child was born. Knight also accused Elledge of lying when he testified that G yelled at him at times. Defense attorney Scott Rosenblum had a different portrayal of Elledge. We'll hear that side of the story coming up at the bottom of the hour. Mr. Rosenblum describes the death in 2019 as a tragic accident and not a murder. Boone County Sheriff's deputies, meantime, need your help in finding a murder suspect accused of killing a man near Columbia. It happened Monday afternoon just north of Columbia. 36-year-old Mark Allen Achterberg is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. He's believed to be driving a red or maroon Ram pickup with unknown registration. Deputies say that Achterberg shot and killed Justin Stidham Monday at Stidham's home. That is on North Kent Drive. ABC 17 News reports deputies interviewed a neighbor who say that Achterberg actually threatened to shoot the 32-year-old Stidham on Sunday for allegedly stealing his truck. At the Lake of the Ozarks, state transportation officials say contractors working on the Route 54 Bagnell Dam Bridge have discovered the bridge deck is in worse condition than they thought. MoDOT's bridge rehabilitation project began in September. The existing Bagnell Dam Bridge was built in 1929. Crews now making repairs to the bridge deck, expansion joints, sidewalks, barrier walls as well. A key Missouri lawmaker whose district includes Boone County says it's time for the legislature to step in regarding CPS. That's Columbia Public Schools. Missouri House Education Committee Chair Chuck Basie of Rocheport says the school board has been ignoring parents. He's also critical of the board's vote this week to extend the indoor mask requirement.
There's a couple of bills that I'm going to file. Number one, a recall. You cannot recall a school board member, so we had that moving last year. It just didn't make it, so I'm going to file that bill again.
Chairman Basie spoke on Wake Up Columbia. Pre-filing for the 2022 legislative session will be starting on December the 1st. The drill team at Missouri Military Academy in Mexico will be performing an exhibition at the State Veterans Home in Mexico tomorrow for Veterans Day. MMA is a college preparatory military boarding school for boys in grades 7 to 12, Mexico, Missouri. Tomorrow's performance at the Veterans Home is not open to the public. However, they will have another event coming up at 2:30 this afternoon on the football field that is open to the public. More details on that performance, 939theeagle.com. And you're also invited to a Veterans Day observance ceremony tomorrow morning in Ashland.
Mayor Richard Sullivan says Ashland Parks and Recreation plans a ribbon-cutting ceremony for 8:30 tomorrow morning on Veterans Day. The memorial will be located in Ashland City Park on North College. Everyone is welcome at the ceremony. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thank you. And a reminder, tomorrow is Veterans Day. It's a federal, state, and county holiday. Regular mail delivery will not happen. Banks, financial institutions will also be closed tomorrow. The law enforcement agencies will be open. And at this point, the Elledge trial, if they're still in trial, will take place tomorrow. So very important to note that as well. Despite the holiday, the trial will take place tomorrow. Our news is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory is on Cherry Street in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. Turning our attention now to sports, we'll start with hockey. The Blues beating Winnipeg yesterday in a shootout in Canada, 3-2, as the Blues win that game. O'Reilly with a game-winning goal in the shootout period. Meantime, in college hoops, the Tiger men's basketball team, 5 Mizzou players double figures last night. Mizzou beating Central Michigan 78 to 68. The Tigers sophomore Ronnie DeGray III leading the team. He had 13 points, 12 rebounds for Mizzou. And Coach Martin right now 5-0 at Mizzou in season openers. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. ClubCarWash.com. Find a location near you. Our news time, 7:08. Kevin, thank you. Our weather's brought to you by Club Car Wash. Get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. ClubCarWash.com. Find a location near you. 55 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
7:09 here on 93.9 The Eagle, 93.9theeagle.com. Traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Again, the roads right now are quiet throughout mid-Missouri. We like to see that. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Houseworth, 93.9 The Eagle.
When our nation called, tonight, Marines around the world proudly celebrate 246 years of defending our great nation.
Marines celebrating 246 years. God bless you for what you do. God bless you for serving our country, regardless of when, regardless of your role, and regardless of what branch. I think one of the best ways I've ever heard it put, like anybody, you make a joke about somebody in the military, and anybody from any branch of the military will have that guy's back and chastise you for making fun of or jokes about somebody in the military.
Yep.
But you get somebody from the Marines, National Guard, Air Force, Army, Marines, what have you, get them and they say, they'll talk smack about each other, and they're pretty good at it.
They will. They will. It's fun.
I wonder if we could would that be wrong on the Marines' birthday? Open up the phone lines, let people call in and talk smack about other branches of the service. 874-9390. Mark already says, he says, hey, do you guys know what today is? I said, yeah, incidentally, I better know it's the Marines' birthday. Now, I only know that from having lived in the cradle, the birthplace of naval aviation, which is Pensacola, Florida. And Mark says, yep, always needed the Navy to give us a ride to the real tough stuff. I like, if you ever get an opportunity to sit around from folks from different services and listen to them go off on each other, it's usually a good time. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Brian Houseworth.
Good morning, Brandon and Stephanie.
That's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Brendan Rather. Something we can do for you, 874-9390, 874-9390. Hannah is back from a big wedding that she went to. Glad to have you back. That's the big story in my book today. Seriously, because nationally, what's going on? So a judge has dealt a setback to Trump as it relates to January 6th stuff.
Yeah, there was a judge that ruled, I believe yesterday, that Trump had claimed executive privilege, which is something a sitting president enjoys, over the documents regarding certain documents regarding January 6th. Those documents are in possession of the National Archives. The judge said that Joe Biden can waive the executive privilege, and there was some consideration if you
Sorry,
retain...
that just makes me laugh. Biden can waive it if he would like.
Well, and I think it's more a matter of, do you retain executive privilege once you're out of office? And they said there's some tension on executive privilege of Joe Biden's executive privilege versus Trump's. Anyway, the judge said they have to turn over the documents by Friday. However, Trump's already taken an appeal, so I don't, we'll see how fast the judicial system can move. And, you know, I think what they're going to have to do on the appeal is get in and get that lower court rulings stayed so they don't have to turn it over on Friday.
I can't remember who it was. Somebody this morning said, and it's been my take all along, listen, yeah, what happened January 6th, it was horrible. It was not an insurrection. These are a bunch of jackasses going and hell-bent to do something, make a name for themselves. It was not this concerted effort. We're going to overthrow the government, and then we're going to, and then Joe, the plumber from Ohio, we're going to put him in as president. None of that happened. 874-9390, so that's one of the big things, so we'll see how that plays out. Locally, we do have a murder investigation. Brian Houseworth is covering that for you this morning. As a matter of fact, we have a description of who it is that enforcement is looking for. But first, want to chat with Nathan, 874-9390, here on the birthday of the Marines, 246 years. Nathan, welcome into the show. What's up, bud?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Today I'm 246 years old.
Amen, brother Nathan.
We got a few things for a little bit of everybody. You're talking about everybody giving each other smack.
Yeah, people in the military, people in different branches of the military can talk smack about other branches of the military, but we, as civilians, we can't talk smack about people in the service.
Right. So, like, they would always say, you know what Marine stands for, right?
What's that?
Morons always riding in Navy equipment.
Morons riding in Navy equipment.
But when the Navy would give us smack, they'd say, well, you guys are Department of the Navy. But we'd say, yeah, we're the men's department. And then Army stands for ain't ready for the Marines yet.
Ain't ready for the Marines yet, Army. I love it. Nathan talking smack in a friendly way this morning here on Wake Up Columbia. Hey, thank you for what you've done for us, Nathan. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Have a good morning.
You too, 874-9390. What you got, Stuart?
Good morning, Brandon. In the Air Force Combat Manual, it says if you come under fire, find the nearest Marine and give them all your ammo.
I love it. Stuart, thanks, man. We appreciate you being a part of the Wake Up Columbia family. All right, 246th birthday for the Marines, and we're so we mentioned how people in the service, they can poke fun at other branches of the service. Brian Houseworth goes to, like, the dive bar on a Friday night and starts joking about folks in different branches. You probably get your ass kicked, right?
If I were to do that, I would, and rightfully so. But yeah, I mean, they do protect each other. There's no doubt about it, and a lot of respect. And the other thing about the veterans I know is that whether they were in combat or non-combat, a lot of respect for each other. There's no doubt about that.
Brad, welcome into the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, Brandon, thanks for having me. Love your show, by the way. Simplified, all my brothers and sisters out there, happy birthday. And there's only one branch of military, by the way. The rest of them are just the junior varsity squad, you know. They're kind of our cheerleaders and everything. And then, you know, to go with the Army thing, you know, the Army says, be all you can be, so I became a Marine.
Oh, points. Round of applause this morning for Brad. Thank you, bud. We appreciate you. Do you know how the Marine Corps spells Uber? How does the Marine Corps spell Uber? N-A-V-Y. Navy. Very nice. Keep them coming if you have more. 874-9390, 874-9390. Coming up a little bit later, I do want to take you kind of behind the scenes what happened. Brian Houseworth has done a remarkable job covering this Elledge murder trial. He is accused of murder. He has not been found guilty. And what I know is what I see some of the local news outlets, what they are saying. And I also know you come back every day from being in the courthouse and seeing some of what's been playing out, and I want to get into some of the nitty-gritty, if you're cool with that.
Totally fine. It's very graphic, but very important, so I'm happy to do that whenever you want to do it.
7:35.
Sure.
I think we'll do that here on 93.9 The Eagle. Rob, you're up, buddy. What's up?
So I did 26 years in the Army, and I always give the Marine Corps a hard time because they have to come to our schools to be Rangers and artillerymen. So, in essence, they really are Army. But you always know when it's the Marine Corps birthday because Walmart sells out of crayons and coloring books this time of year. Semper Fi, I love my Marines.
Semper Fi, Rob. Thank you. I love this. Come on, man. What do you got? 874-9390.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And I'm on Team Marine because my dad's a Marine, so I love hanging out with those guys. But we have other people in our family, so when we have like family gatherings, and then Chris's family has other military. It's always hilarious.
I'm Team Air Force. Both my parents were in the Air Force. My mom was the first female head mechanic. She worked on the SR-71s, B-52s, U-2s, things like that. But I'm also big on the Navy and the Marines because of my time in Pensacola. And Hannah says somebody has brought you a wedding gift.
No, you got a gift delivered in a Hooters takeout bag.
That's very on brand for you, Brandon.
It's from our friend Butch.
Are you serious? From Hooters?
Well, it's not from Hooters, but the gift is delivered in a Hooters takeout bag.
And it was delivered by Butch, who's a waitress at Hooters.
Oh.
874-9390. Coming up, I'm so glad that Hannah is back. She was gone at a wedding with her boyfriend, Brandon. I'm told that she was bummed that there was no, what are the flowers? What are they throw the flowers? What is it?
If you're going to harass me, maybe you should have the terminology correct.
Of course, the flowers. Flowers, they're flowers, right? They throw, the chick who gets married throws flowers, and then all y'all go crazy trying to scramble. It's a mad dash. I see the videos on America's Funniest Home Video on Sunday nights.
And what exactly gets thrown?
The flowers that she has, the corset or corsage, whatever it is.
Maybe the bouquet.
That too. She throws the kitchen sink behind her head, and whatever you catch means you're going to get married next. And you were bombed?
No, so I had asked my boyfriend prior to the ceremony, I said, what are you going to do if I catch the bouquet? And he said, not a damn thing. So that's as far as I got. I wasn't disappointed by any means. I think my mom spread some fake news.
And is it bouquet or bouquet?
Tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you probably don't know is typically you do not actually throw your actual bouquet because it's like a big, the nicest one of the whole thing. And so usually you have a second, like, dummy bouquet that you actually throw for the throwing. It's on the list.
93.9 The Eagle and 93.9 TheEagle.com, where you can listen live. You can watch the show live by going to YouTube. Search 93.9 The Eagle Live. That way you can put it up on your smart TV. Everybody in the house getting ready for work and school in the morning can get ready. Coming up, what's hot with Hannah? What do you have for us this morning, Hannah?
It's Thanksgiving coming up. There's lots of weird turkey-flavored things hitting the market, and I'm not a fan.
All right,
Not a fan.
But you're going to highlight some of the more choice selections for turkey-flavored stuff? All right, what's Hannah dishing out this morning?
93.9 The Eagle. Watch the show on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
It's still going to be the Marines who defend this nation.
Semper Fidelis, and happy birthday, Marines.
Celebrating the Marines today in all services, all armed services. Of course, tomorrow, Veterans Day, Centralia. A bunch of folks locally doing cool things. Centralia does the Avenue of Flags. Love when they do that. 874-9390. Hello, Dennis. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Brandon. Yes, I served with the Marines. I was a Navy corpsman, and I served with the Marines in the early 70s overseas and served with them for a year. And we used to give them a rough time. Their recruiting slogan was, the Marines need a few good men. We used to tell them, you have them, Navy corpsmen.
Love it. Dennis, thank you so much for being a part of Wake Up Columbia. So we're talking about how people in the armed services, they can chide each other, joke about the different branches of the armed services, but let Hannah do it somewhere on a Friday night. She gonna get in trouble. So people are swapping stories. Fun criticism. It's kind of like Yo Mama jokes, but it's about the armed branches of our military. 874-9390. 874-9390 if you'd like to share. Right now, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:27.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
You know, it's nice to know that some things never change. I may have missed a few days, but you're still running late.
Yeah, What's Hot with Hannah. But did you notice all the other times, mostly this morning, have been more on time?
More on time, but I have had to still remind you. You're not doing it on your own.
Yeah, but I did it while you were gone. Ask Stephanie. You got my back on this?
There was some days we were on time.
But working on it. Getting better.
Thrown right under the bus by your co-host.
Right now it's 7:28. Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
So I've posted a soda review on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page that almost made me gag a little bit because it's a soda review of a turkey and gravy flavored soda. Yeah. I don't even like turkey very much as is, but a carbonated drink that's flavored like turkey almost makes me want to throw up.
Is that Jones Soda Company by chance?
It is,
okay.
yes. It is a limited edition. I guess over 10 years ago, they had this as a regular flavor. And I read the words limited edition. I was like, oh, good. They only made a few bottles. They made 35,000 bottles of this junk. Like, that's not just a few. That's kind of a lot.
Has anybody ever tried that? 874-9390. I think you can get Jones Soda, like maybe Hy-Vee locally. I think they were based in the Northwest, and they started coming out, the Jones Soda Company, with all these odd flavors. One of them was turkey and gravy flavored stuff. Are they trying to then flavor other things, make it taste like turkey and mashed potatoes? Here's an idea. Just make some turkey and gravy that tastes like turkey and gravy.
A carbonated, salty soda that tastes like gravy.
Any other things that folks are trying to flavor?
Well, I got to save that for What's Hot with Hannah, like in days leading up to Thanksgiving. I can't give it all away in one day. Come on now.
I'm imagining people just like dumping a LaCroix with just like some turkey and gravy in a blender. Like,
gross.
And I'm with you, Hannah. Turkey is not like a food that I enjoy eating. Now, my husband, Thanksgiving is his favorite food, and I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Ham, all the way.
100%.
Yes.
Coming up, Fox News is here at 7:30. A judge says no to Trump. What about? They have that story for you. What Joe is doing to go out and sell that socialism package today. Fox News on these stories. Brian Hausworth is here. Behind the scenes, Elledge murder trial, and apparently local authorities on the look for a mid-Missouri man who is wanted for a Boone County murder. He has those stories at 7:31.
Stop by Club Car Wash today to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details on clubcarwash.com and to find a location near you. It's 55 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster.
Former President Trump loses in court to the House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the Capitol.
A federal judge has rejected former President Trump's request to block the release of documents, which include call logs, drafts of remarks, and handwritten notes from his chief of staff, Mark Meadows. In the ruling, the judge said that Congress had a strong public interest in obtaining the records and that President Biden has the authority to waive executive privilege over the documents.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. In a speech to the National Republican Congressional Committee, the former president blasted the 13 House Republicans voting yes on an infrastructure spending bill. That plan's being promoted by President Biden in Baltimore today.
The bipartisan infrastructure bill approved last week provides $17 billion for ports. The administration plans to invest billions to upgrade inspection facilities and other modernization projects for shippers, truckers, and warehouses.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 55 right now, our current temperature in Columbia. We're expecting a chance of rain today with a high of 68. Tonight, showers are likely, low near 45. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies on Veterans Day and a high of 54 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on at this hour. Columbia murder suspect Joseph Elledge says his wife died after they argued and fought after he discovered that she was allegedly exchanging sexually graphic messages with a man from China. The 26-year-old Elledge is charged with first-degree murder for the October 2019 death of Mengshi Ji. Elledge testified on the witness stand for 6 to 6.5 hours on Tuesday. He says his wife pushed him after they argued, that he pushed her back. He testifies his wife pushed him again forcefully and that she fell and hit her head and died that evening. He described as a thud, her head hitting the ground there. Elledge testifies that he did not intentionally kill his wife, but panicked instead. He tells the jury he put his wife's body in the trunk of her vehicle and drove to the Rockbridge State Park the next day. He used a shovel to bury her in a remote area of the park. He says he feels shame for what happened, describes it as stupid. Boone County Prosecutor Dan Knight cross-examining Elledge. He was aggressive in his questioning. He says Elledge told thousands of lies and he had threatened to kill his wife before. We'll hear more excerpts of what the prosecutor had to say coming up in our next report. Meantime, law enforcement agencies from across mid-Missouri, as we speak, are searching for a Boone County murder suspect who's on the run. 36-year-old Mark Allen Achterberg is charged with first-degree murder. He's accused of shooting and killing 32-year-old Justin Stidham on Monday afternoon at Stidham's home on North Kent Drive. That is just north of Columbia. Once Achterberg is captured, a judge has ordered him to be jailed without bond. Anyone with information on the suspect's whereabouts is urged to call Columbia Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. Online court records do indicate that Mark Allen Achterberg has previous ties to the state of Nebraska. Again, he is on the loose this morning. Missouri's House Elementary and Secondary Education Committee Chair blasting Columbia School Board. He says he's never seen a more militant group. Rocheport Republican Representative Chuck Basie spoke on 93.9 The Eagles' Wake Up Columbia.
When I say militant, they are just ignoring taxpayers and parents. And I have a lot of examples in this huge sunshine request I got back.
He's also critical of the decision this week to extend the CPS indoor masking requirement. CPS requires students and staff to wear masks indoors and on buses. Mask mandate supporters say it's about protecting health. And Ashland's mayor says space is still available for veterans and their loved ones, and/or who would like to purchase a paver in the new Veterans Memorial. Mayor Richard Sullivan says Ashland Parks and Recreation plans a ribbon-cutting ceremony for 8:30 tomorrow morning on Veterans Day. The memorial will be located in Ashland City Park on North College. Everyone is welcome at that ceremony. There are also a number of activities planned for tomorrow at Columbia College as well throughout the day, throughout the morning, afternoon, and late afternoon into the early evening at Columbia College. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. They practice sedation dentistry to relax your fears. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. In sports, Mizzou Tiger men's basketball team, 5 players in double figures last night. Mizzou beating Central Michigan 78-68 at Mizzou Arena. They unveiled the new emblem, if you will, on the court at Mizzou Arena as well. Last night, Ronnie DeGray III leading the team 13 points, 12 rebounds. Blues in a shootout beating Winnipeg in Canada last night by a score of 3-2. Our sports brought to you by Willett Dental Associates, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Things are quiet right now on the roads. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Houseworth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The infrastructure is possibly not the only thing the president passed, because tabloids are reporting about Joe Biden's long fart at the global climate change gathering in Scotland. I can't believe he's already breaking promises on cutting dangerous emissions. The president's alleged cheek squeak happened during a chat with British Royal Camilla Parker Bowles, and it was, quote, audible enough to make the Duchess of Cornwall blush. And it takes a lot to make the Duchess embarrassed. Her entire family is old farts. Now, reportedly...
I got that for you, Hannah and Stephanie.
That's pretty good.
Is this like Fartgate 2.0? Is that what's happening right now?
So Joe Biden's apparently at this thing in the New York Post that, according to Stephen Colbert, apparently he... And by the way, this was a story last week. I didn't get into it because, frankly, I don't want to waste your time with he said, she said, and stuff. I know it's fun sometimes, but apparently Joe Biden...
Hashtag Biden poopy pants.
Yes. and I'm embarrassed to have to ask this question. Has anybody been able to verify that Joe Biden did indeed do that last week? Because I know it was a thing, and I just left it alone because they're more important.
Are you struggling to say the word fart?
I think that he's struggling to say the word with an SH in front of it and that word.
Oh, yeah, please don't say that word.
Did he really do
Starts
that?
with an SH, rhymes with fart. So apparently the only confirmation is he was there for a lot longer than they thought he was going to be. And that's an indication that there was something that happened. Somebody said there was an incident. And then apparently maybe he changed his clothes. Like he had a different suit on.
Smells kind of suspicious.
And that's about all that's going on today. Seriously. It is the Marines' 246th birthday. I love this. Wake Up Columbia family members been calling in. We got joking about how, you don't want to joke about people's service. But if you're in one of the armed forces, you can ride that other branch all you want. Some really good ones this morning. And I want to mention, there's a group of guys locally that Hannah and I know. They call themselves a Dirty Half Dozen. I think it's somebody we met because of our work over the years with the Honor Flight Butch and a whole bunch of guys. They brought by a gift for the show written by a local guy who also has done a lot of work with the Central Missouri Honor Flight. This guy's written a book, Gary Blackmore. It's called Reminiscing. How cool is that? You ever think about writing a book, Stephanie?
No.
No?
But I wasn't in the service. I mean, if I was in the service...
But, what would you write about, though? Because then we all think, man,
now?
yeah, I'll write a book, and I'll write about this, and that. What would you write about?
I do not have time for that. I would probably just write about, maybe being, a working mother.
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed. Houseworth, what would you write a book about?
Probably news or sports, maybe a combination of both. Yeah.
Hannah?
A joke book.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Joke book.
You guys all win.
What about you? You didn't answer. What would you write about?
Oh, jeez. The look on Brandon's face when you asked him that question has me very concerned to hear the answer.
Yeah, he's like, I've already written half of it. It looks like he's already started.
So when I started asking this question, I almost immediately regretted asking because I thought, well, if they ask me, how honest do I be here? Because I have thought about writing a book for a lot of years, by the way, but I don't know if it's telling too much. So as I'm asking you, I'm like, oh, dear God, please don't let them ask me this question. Oh, it's fine, because my mind went to Feel Good Fridays, how, I've spent years asking you all what you're grateful for on a Feel Good Friday, and you guys never ask me how I feel on Feel Good Fridays. So I'm thinking they're not going to ask me. What book would I write if I wanted to write a book?
Is it going to be about how big of a whiner you are?
Yeah, consider yourself asked.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Spill it. What is it?
I should probably talk to you off air first, Hannah. You are my conscience.
Great.
Okay, here it is. And then we'll move forward because there are some other things happening.
I've got my finger on the dump button just in case.
It's a delicate subject, and if somebody's listening and they're going through it, it might make people uncomfortable. But it's true. I always say I'll be honest, right? And listen, let me preface it this way.
Would you just get on with it, man?
I used to do a lot of stuff that I don't do anymore. Okay? So let me put it that way. Does that... Man, please don't judge me by this. When I was younger, I had a habit, and if there's kids listening, they're in the car with mom and dad because there's no school bus drivers. And they're on the way to school with mom and dad, and you're listening to 93.9 The Eagle and listening to Wake Up Columbia with Stephanie and Hannah and Brian and Brandon Rathert. Please know that this is not okay. When I was younger, I preferred to be involved with married women. And if you were watching the show on the Eagle channel, 93.9 The Eagle live on YouTube, you can pop us up on your smart TV and watch every morning, you would see the reactions.
So like Diary of a Cheater? But you weren't cheating, I guess. Diary of a...
I wasn't doing anything wrong. Is the
Yes,
way
you
I
were.
looked at it at the time. At the time, I'm not doing anything wrong. And I obviously wouldn't do that. But here's what I would do. And it wouldn't be so much my romps and travels and all, because I've been able to do a lot of very cool things in life. And again, I don't behave that way. It's not proper. But I wanted to write a book on the common traits, married women who cheat on their spouse. They have there's the same characteristics that I encountered over and over and over through the years. And I would like to write more maybe of a clinical piece on, hey, if you really love your spouse, especially if you're the husband and she's the wife, here are some things that you can do to ensure that never happens in a relationship where your spouse is stepping out on you.
Now, didn't you do a podcast a couple months ago with a relationship expert?
Yeah,
Weren't you the guest of honor for an hour-long podcast episode?
Yeah.
So you're saying you would outline like red flags or something.
Yeah.
So what's give an example?
I'll tell you
Chapter 1.
I'll tell you the biggest thing that I noticed was they just wanted somebody to listen to them. I mean, really. They weren't.
It's not like an upgrade. It's not like implants. Like suddenly they get an upgrade and like they're looking for something.
No.
Okay, just checking. Was that part of it?
No, it was just husbands typically that just they weren't. I mean, most of these women, it wasn't even about the physical aspect. It was just somebody paying attention. And I was younger at the time, and that helped. A lot of these married women were wanting, they wanted to be with a younger guy. And I don't behave. I feel like I have to keep saying, I don't behave this way anymore. I don't behave this way anymore. But it was just paying attention and treating her like she's like gold. Because most of these women, on the surface, they look like they had it all together. The family, the professional career and all this and busy, and they go together, go out in public once in a while on Fridays, arm in arm. And they look good, but behind the scenes, the husband wasn't giving her what she wanted, and that was attention and listening.
So then, on the inside cover, right, when you flip it open and it gives the bio, is it going to be like Brandon Rather, relationship expert?
Oh, God.
How's that going to go?
No.
I think that would be interesting, and I think if you have the insights, you should go for it.
Yeah, and I think it would be in the interest of helping marriages, because I think a lot of people they're in love, but time goes by. I love steak. I love steak at CC City Broiler.
You are not comparing marriage to a steak.
No?
You are not.
I'm not. I'm comparing significant others to a steak.
That's worse.
I like to go to CC City. I'm going tomorrow night for a business meeting. I go there all the time. I love CC's. I love steak. I don't know that I could eat steak every single night.
I don't know where this is going. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable.
And in a relationship, no matter... Let's do this. Let's move forward. Coming up...
Let me go get the shovel out of your desk.
Brian, when you feel uncomfortable, I don't know you've been here long enough. You just have to say pineapple.
Okay.
And then we just move on.
And we sometimes listen to that.
Pineapple.
Jack wants to know, does Hannah keep her finger on the dump button when talking about Biden's poopy pants?
Yes, I do.
She does. All right, coming up, 7:52. Joe Biden, TV interview on some cable kind of thing yesterday, and was asked this question.
A new CNN poll shows 58% of Americans believe that you aren't paying enough attention to the nation's most important issues.
And this reporter, by the way, is asking him, by the way, and the numbers, all these polls consistently are sinking. How did Joe answer that question? We'll have that coming up at 7:51 on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
All of us hip folks are watching Wake Up Columbia on Facebook. Are you? 93.9 The Eagle.
New CNN poll shows 58% of Americans believe that you aren't paying enough attention to the nation's most important issues.
Joe Biden asked about his sinking and consistently poorer and poorer poll numbers. How did we respond? How did he respond? We have that coming up here shortly, so I have an idea for a book. Dirty Half Dozen has gifted Wake Up Columbia, a book by a local guy. I've met the guy, Gary Blackmore, does a lot locally, does amazing work with the honor flight. He's got a book out called Reminiscing, and here on the 246th birthday of the Marines, the folks, Dirty Half Dozen. So it's a group of veterans, and once a month they get together and they swap stories. And I've been fortunate enough that they've included me in this Dirty Half Dozen. And I go and hang out with these guys once a month. We go to places like Hooters or wherever, and we have lunch. Bunch of good guys. So they bring in a book. Would you please give this book to the folks, Wake Up Columbia? There were 13 Vietnam veterans who took a trip last Friday to Perryville to show our respect and to honor our loved ones and best friends who gave it their all. Gary Blackmore, the author of this book, paid for the MoX bus we rode on. Everybody brought different snacks. There were a few tears shed. It was a pretty day, and everybody was very nice, was very impressed with the replica Vietnam Wall and Museum. We were truly in farm country. The true roots are, and life is lived. That's where it's at, from the Dirty Half Dozen. Signed Butch, served in Vietnam, 69-70, 101st Airborne Division. And they sent it along in a
takeout bag from none other than Hooters.
And they said, P.S., keep the Hooters bag, Brandon. So we got talking about books. And Hannah would write a joke book. Yeah. Stephanie would write a book about, being a successful, super busy parent. And I said I would write a book because when I was younger, it was a lot. I enjoyed spending my time with married women. I don't behave that way anymore. And here's why. Less commitment on my part. They're already kind of committed. So it made it
That's the number one reason you don't do it anymore?
Well, because it's wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't do it because it's wrong. But that's why I used to like it, because less commitment on my part. I'm with somebody who's really already committed.
Ooh.
I would write a book on, not warning signs. It would be a book that would be helpful. Guys, things that you can do to make sure that your wife doesn't cheat on you.
So like profiles of married women who cheat, but then it would be interesting if you could reach out to one of these women and they would do a profile of you, like men that have commitment issues who want to get with married women. And then it could be like kind of like a his and hers story tale. I think if the listeners, we need to come up with a good title for this book. Is it like Brandon, like Profile of a Cougar, or like what?
The Misadventures of Brandon Rathert.
Chris has a suggestion for the title. Brandon Rathert, Gigolo and Relation Expert. And we have another listener who wants to write the foreword to the book. But I would write the book in all seriousness. Here's things, and I don't do that anymore. I used to do that, but I don't anymore, and I haven't for a long time. But it would be in an effort to help people. Like, hey, here's some things I noticed, because when I was younger and hanging out with married women, they all had there were some commonalities. It was pretty consistent. And I think I would do well with this book. All right, Joe Biden asked, hey, what about your poll numbers, man? They're bad, and they're going from bad to worse. What would you do? He was asked that question. How did he answer? Hoping to get into that at 8:10 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Kevin, welcome into the show. What can we do for you?
Let's just go ahead and call the book Let's Go Brandon.
Kevin, you win the day, bud. Thanks. Let's go, Brandon. Okay, Biden asked about his poor poll numbers, and they are poor, and it's hard to believe, but they're getting worse. So he was asked about his poor polling performance. How did he answer?
Well, look, the poll I saw just before I walked in on another station was my polling number is down, but it's 48% to 52%. But look, the point is I didn't run because of the polls. I think what you're going to see is the combination of what I did in the beginning in terms of Recovery Act and then
he went on. It was a bunch of, and then compare, other presidents at this time. We don't do whataboutism here on this show anyhow, so I don't think previous presidents' approval ratings at this point in their presidency do not matter. Coming up, Fox News is here. Meanwhile, a judge says no to a former president on some documents regarding January the 6th, and Brian Hausworth is here. Local law enforcement looking for a murder suspect. They need your help. That's at 8:03. Good morning. I am Brandon Rather for Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all. Right now, the big thing, that one phone call today to Salter should be about Christmas lights. So here's what you do. You pick up the phone, you look up Salter's phone number. I'd give it to you here, but you're probably not going to remember it. And you'll just look them up on Google anyway afterwards. You'll look up Salter Lawn Service, and you'll see the website, and you'll see all the services they do. And then you'll call like, hey, so I've never done this before. So, like, especially if you're new. I've never done this before. Like, I want you guys to do my Christmas lights. How does that work? And it might be Lance or any of the other cool folks there at Salter Lawn Service. They'll explain, well, here's what we do. And they'll come out then and they'll put up their lights. And I'm guessing they might even do, like, if he's, I don't know, do you have an idea for a simple design? They might do something like that too. The best part is Salter Lawn Service will come and take down the lights when the Christmas season is over. That's the unfun part. So call Salter. Salter, one call does it all.
We keep paying more for a lot of stuff. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As prices keep getting inflated, Fox's Lillian Wu has the Just Out report on that and unemployment live.
Dave, the last time consumer prices jumped this much, Ghost and Home Alone 1 were top movies to make you feel old. The October CPI hitting a 31-year high at 6.1% from a year ago. Now, analysts were expecting a 5.8% jump. That's still a decades-high reading because of supply chain problems. Stripping out volatile food and energy, that number is still hotter than expected. Now, we are seeing a new pandemic low for the number of people applying for first-time jobless help at 267,000, though it is slightly higher than forecast. Dave?
Lily, when it comes to rising prices and some items unavailable, President Biden says,
I know that a lot of folks don't feel the progress we're making in the economy. I get it.
So today he'll go to the Port of Baltimore to talk about his plans to deal with supply chain problems. In Baltimore, Claudia Tolles recently closed her toy store, went out of business, and tells Fox COVID was a factor and
ordering product has become a big problem with these supply chain issues. Being able to keep people employed. They don't want to necessarily be in these industries of public facing.
Former President Trump is planning to appeal a federal judge's ruling last night rejecting his attempt to block the House committee investigating the January Capitol riot from accessing White House documents. On top of that,
the House Select Committee is demanding documents and testimony from 10 former White House officials working in the Trump administration on January 6th. The list includes Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany and Senior Advisor Stephen Miller. Committee Chairman Benny Thompson says the panel wants to learn every detail of what went on in the White House on January 6th and the days beforehand.
Fox's Jared Halpern. And Pfizer wants the government to approve a booster dose of its COVID vaccine for all adults. America's listening to Fox News.
struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 8:03 is our time. 56 right now in Columbia. Partly cloudy skies on this gorgeous fall morning. We're expecting a high today of around 68. Rain in the forecast for tonight, low near 45. And then tomorrow is Veterans Day. Sunshine in a high of 54 degrees. Good morning, everyone. We begin this hour with Boone County Sheriff's deputies. They need your help in finding a murder suspect accused of killing a man near Columbia on Monday afternoon. I just checked with Boone County Sheriff's Captain Brian Lear, who tells me there is nothing new to report. That means authorities are still searching for 36-year-old Mark Allen Achterberg of Columbia. He is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. He is believed to be driving a red or a maroon Ram pickup with unknown registration. They're saying red or maroon. It's very difficult to tell from the photo. We have put a photo of this vehicle up from the Boone County Sheriff's Department on our website, 939theeagle.com. If you see this vehicle, you are urged to call authorities immediately. Do not approach the suspect. Deputies say Achterberg shot and killed Justin Stidham on Monday afternoon at Stidham's home on North Kent Drive. ABC 17 News reports deputies interviewed a neighbor who say that Achterberg threatened to shoot Stidham on Sunday for allegedly stealing his truck. A Boone County jury listening intently to 6 hours of testimony from Columbia murder suspect Joseph Elledge on Tuesday. Very graphic testimony, heated discussions between the Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight and Elledge on the stand as Knight grilled Elledge for a few hours. Knight telling the jury that Elledge had threatened to kill his wife before. Knight also accused Elledge of describing his daughter as and this is a quote here, an effed up little runt, which Elledge and defense attorney Scott Rosenblum disputed. Knight replayed an audio recording for the jury. Elledge testified he was speaking hypothetically. Knight telling the jury that Elledge worked out all the time, talking about weightlifting and was twice as big as his wife. Again, Elledge disputing that. Scott Rosenblum disputing it as well. The prosecutor also says that Elledge lied when he testified that Munchie G yelled at him at times. Defense attorney Scott Rosenblum describes the death in 2019 as a tragic accident and not a murder. Again, the trial will resume at 8:30 this morning, and we could go to closing arguments today, but that is not set in stone at this time. A key Missouri lawmaker whose district includes Boone County says it's time for the legislature to step in regarding Columbia Public Schools. House Education Committee Chair Chuck Basie of Rocheport is saying the school board ignores parents. He is also critical of the board's decision to extend the mask mandate. However, supporters of the mask requirement say it's an issue about health and also preventing COVID. The drill team at Missouri Military Academy in Mexico will be performing an exhibition at the State Veterans Home in Mexico tomorrow for Veterans Day. MMA is a college preparatory military boarding school for boys aged in grades 7 to 12. Tomorrow's performance at the Veterans Home is not open to the public. Big ceremony is scheduled for tomorrow morning in Ashland for Veterans Day. This one is open to the public.
Mayor Richard Sullivan says Ashland Parks and Recreation plans a ribbon-cutting ceremony for 8:30 tomorrow morning on Veterans Day. The memorial will be located in Ashland City Park on North College. Everyone is welcome at the ceremony. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thank you. We also have a number of activities going on as well here in Columbia tomorrow. Activities all day at Columbia College. We'll have all those times for you tomorrow morning in our early newscasts, and they continue throughout the day into the evening. There's also going to be one near the Boone County Courthouse tomorrow as well. Our news is brought to you by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. Our news time, 8:07. 8:07 here on 93.9 The Eagle in a shootout. The Blues beating Winnipeg by a score of 3-2. O'Reilly gets the game winner for the Blues in that shootout. College hoops, the Missouri Tiger men's basketball team, 5 players in double figures last night. Mizzou over Central Michigan, 78-68. Mizzou now 1-0 on the season. Our sports brought to you by Woods Basement Systems, the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. 800-388-9326, a free estimate. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. All right, Kevin, thanks. And our weather is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 56 in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with midmohires.com at 8:08 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads in pretty good shape right now. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Houseworth, 93.9 The Eagle.
When our nation called, tonight, Marines around the world proudly celebrate 246 years of defending our great nation.
Happy birthday to the Marines. 246 years. Been having fun this morning. It's interesting, and with the work that we do, for example, with Welcome Home, who, by the way, that fundraiser that I was at the other night, me and Cosmo from Cosmo and the Y107 Morning Show, Cosmo emceed the event, and I just got to enjoy everything. $200,000 raised that night for Welcome Home. Megan Sievers and all the crew there wanted me to make sure that I passed along heartfelt thanks to everybody who attended that event. And next year when this comes around, seriously, you got to get in on this. Good excuse to play dress up. The food is incredible. There was a fireworks show that night at Cooper's Ridge in Boonville. Absolutely beautiful. Awesome. Well, we got talking about how folks different branches of the military, they'll poke fun at each other, but let an outsider poke fun at somebody in the military, they don't take too kindly to that. So we've been having fun with that this morning. Additionally, our friends, Dirty Half Dozen, group of local veterans, they get together once a month, have lunch. They brought us a book written by a local guy whom I happen to know. His name is Gary Blackmore. Book is reminiscing about his time in the service, his work with the Honor Flight. And we got to thinking, if you wrote a book, what would be the book you'd write?
I would say for me, probably journalism and or sports.
You write about journalism?
In my experiences, yes.
What would be one story you would absolutely include in your book about journalism? Like an interesting moments?
You know, there's been so many. I haven't really given it too much thought, but certainly the night that Governor Carnahan's plane crashed would have to be in there as well. What younger reporters won't remember is that was kind of before you didn't have tweeting.
Yep.
There was no, it was very difficult to get information. The technology, it really wasn't all that long ago, but it was basically 21 years ago, but it was primitive. The technology was at that time, but I remember just talking to Jeff Haldeman, and we were working at a radio station, and it came they did a press conference in the middle of the night, and he literally, the only thing he could do, he had so little time, he put a cell phone up on the podium, but he got it on the air. It didn't sound great, but it was a very, I'd have to include that, because that was where we really learned some, how to deal with breaking news. Vice President Gore just showing up unannounced, and we got tips that the Secret Service it was him a couple days after that, and then a couple of days after that, President Clinton and the Vice President, both at the Missouri Capitol. We knew the second one, not the first one, though.
So you would write about all the things that were happening the night of Carnahan's plane crash, behind the scenes, that people, for the most part, don't know.
A lot of it they don't know. Some they do, but a lot they don't. That would be one, and I'd include others as well.
Stephanie Bell would write a book on helping parents that are incredibly busy, such as herself. She's an older woman. She's an attorney with Hellinger & Associates. She hangs out here on Wake Up Columbia. What would be, in writing about being busy, trying to help busy parents, what's something that you would absolutely include, and what is making you laugh?
I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was just, especially in being a parent, don't listen to everybody else. And I think with my professional life as well, is being a lawyer and being on the radio kind of like a weird thing, and people probably are like, what is that about, right? And sometimes you just kind of have to chart your own path. And I would say the same with parenting. You get so much advice when you're pregnant, and so much of that advice is very specific to that child or to the family. And so people will be like, oh, your baby's hungry, or oh, you should breastfeed, or you should not, and this is the worst ever. And people kind of draw these hard lines. And even among my 3 children, what worked for one totally didn't work for the other. And so sometimes you just kind of have to trust your instincts and chart your own path, and have the confidence to do that.
Hannah would write a joke book. What would be the first joke in there? What's the one joke that you would make sure would absolutely go into this book?
Ooh, I don't know if I can tell it on air.
Is it the one about 6 inches?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
No.
It would be a dirty joke book?
Well, not entirely, but there would probably be some sprinkled in there.
My kids love joke books. I will say that. Every time they go to the library, I'm like, don't you want to read a novel? They come home with knock-knock joke books, and they just walk around the house just reading jokes. It is kind of fun.
That's one of the reasons I love it when Brad Trinago is here on Feel Good Fridays, 7:35. We talk Mizzou football, and then he tells Brad's dad joke of the day. So my thing, if I wrote a book, it would be something I used to do when I was younger. I don't do it now. I didn't seek them out. They sought me out, I think. But I have this habit. Of dating or spending my time with married women.
Helping married women cheat.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I wouldn't do that today.
You would meet them in bars, because there wasn't apps or anything back then.
No, I would just, one of them.
Like hotel rooms or what?
No. Well, eventually, if I played my cards right, yeah. But, for example, the one woman who I was with for a while, she managed a credit union in St. Louis. And when I had my first loan to buy a car, met her and started chatting with her. And that's kind of the point of my book. So I didn't seek these married people out, okay? I didn't seek them out. It's just where I ended up. But I would write a book.
But didn't you just say that you intentionally would do that? To me, that sounds like you were.
No, I wouldn't intentionally go and seek married women to date. It's just kind of the way it worked out. And in my mind, at that time, I would thought, this benefits me. I don't have to get that in. I don't have to commit that much, because they're already committed, kind of, to their husband.
Which Stephanie and I were talking about this in the last break.
Yeah.
That's classic. If we're going to profile you and your commitment issues, that's it makes sense. That is your, mind frame on that.
You're like, I don't need to get her a Christmas gift. Someone else is already doing that.
So people are coming forward with titles, And I would write the book like in a clinical point of view. Hey guys,
as a relationship expert,
here's
so you're gonna write a scientific book about relationships.
But you would try to be helpful.
Yeah, helpful. So it's not like, hey, look at all these married women that I was hanging out with. It would be like, hey guys, here's something I noticed. Because there were some amazing consistencies with most of those married women that I spent time with. It was they weren't getting attention at home. And it wasn't just physical attention. It was any kind of attention. But there's a series, and there's probably 3 or 4 talking points that I could put in this book that is very consistent with women that end up stepping out on their husbands.
So you weren't doing anything morally wrong. You were just doing research.
Get it up, cowgirl.
Right?
Ooh.
Chris says, hey, I love you guys. You make all of this drive, all of this you're talking about this morning, making the drive to Jefferson City so much better. Glad we could do that for you. Something we can do for you. 874-9390, 874-9390. Thank you for being here on the show this morning. One of the things that continues this week, Sorrells Road overpass. We're having some folks earlier this morning. We're saying some lane closures, things like that. So we're watching that. Authorities, local law enforcement on the hunt for somebody they want to talk to, apparently, about a murder that happened this week in town.
Yeah, it would have happened Monday afternoon. I would have been in court, and I normally have the scanner on. We wouldn't necessarily have heard it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I don't think anybody heard that. Most of the media was in court on, and it came out anyway. Originally, as they thought maybe a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and it was not. But not just looking for, but they are actually. This guy has been charged. His name is Mark Achterberg. We're not sure on the pronunciation. I've checked with the deputies. It's Achterberg. I've heard Achterberg. I've heard Achterberg. He is charged, Brandon and Stephanie, with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Believed to be driving a red or maroon Ram pickup, unknown registration, and we've got a picture of that vehicle up on our website. The only other thing to point out how brazen this was, if you look at the map of where North Kent Drive is, where the murder took place, it's not far from the sheriff's department.
All right, so
I mean, very
area.
close.
So if you can do us a favor, if you get a minute, whenever you get into work, go to our website, 939theeagle.com. Houseworth has posted a picture of the vehicle that they're thinking this guy that they would like to talk to might be driving, and you might be able to help out a little bit. All right. Off the text, 874-9390 from Steve. He sends even a working title and mock cover for this book that I'm going to write. How to Train Your Cougar.
Oh.
Confessions of the Other Man by Let's Go Brandon Rathard. And he's in a real crappy Photoshop job, which makes it even better.
It's hilarious. We might have to post that to our Facebook
I want to
page.
know where they got this really old photo of you. Because you had like a full head of hair. It's been a while since that's been the case.
And I said I would write this book to guy, hey, here's what you do to make sure you're in a good, loving relationship. Make sure your spouse doesn't cheat on you. Number one, just pay attention to them, really. Be interested in what they're doing and let them know you're interested in what they're doing. So I'd write it in helping other people. Brad says, yeah, you're just interested in helping yourself.
Also, is it really your fault if your spouse is cheating on you? Necessarily, no.
It's the spouse's actions, because you are responsible for your actions. And I do absolutely believe that. But if you don't even want them to get into that space emotionally, pay attention. That's one tip from that. I do know something. Just pay attention, man. All right, coming up, Morning Bell, Stephanie Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. What do you got for us today?
I've been so stuck on books, but I think we've got some. They're busting up a big conglomerate that you will know about.
All right, it's coming up. Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. We'll get into that coming up at
putting the fun in dysfunctional. Wake up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
I wish he'd do well. You know, I love the country more than I love anything.
Donald Trump saying, I want Joe Biden to do well. That was just last week. You look at what Trump has done. He's wished Biden well. He continues to create jobs even though he's out of office. You just look at the number of people that have written books about their time in the White House. He is a job creator. Contrast that to what's happening now. Inflation report for the month of October is out. Probably just as bad as we thought. Fox News will have more on this coming up at 8:30 on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live and get info on our Make-A-Wish thing that we're doing in conjunction with Culligan Water and our good friends at Love Columbia. Right now, it's 8:26, time for the Morning Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
So GE was founded in 1892 and was an original member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. They have announced that they are breaking up into 3 separate companies. And I think this is really interesting because how analysts are portraying it is like, is this kind of a knock and on conglomerates, right? And should businesses be more specialized? So they're going to have 3 separate divisions. They'll have a healthcare division that will spin off first, a renewable energy fossil fuel division, and then they're going to have an aviation division. And those 3 separate entities will operate, I guess, separately. And so I think that's interesting, like what people's thoughts are, because I think a lot of people are trying to do it all. And so you think like Amazon or, some of these other things, trying to do everything, is it better now, and will GE in the end, win out? And apparently it seems like, so they said they lost 74% of their value between 2016 and 2018. So the conglomerate model hasn't been working for them. So will this kind of specialization work better?
General Electric, the people that make my washer and dryer, they also make airplanes?
Apparently, they are a supplier for the military.
I didn't know that. Well, it's interesting. Like, who's what is it? Meta, that owns Facebook, that owns Instagram, that owns all that other stuff. I'm trying to think of these conglomerates. And Alphabet, which owns Google, which owns all this other stuff. ABC, does Disney own ABC? And this, so all of these businesses, it seems like they own just about everything. Mm-hmm. So you break off and specialize. Does that help somebody? Be interesting to find out. Coming up on the show, kind of sticking along the business theme, Governor Mike Parson is doing something really interesting, and I kind of, or at least considering an idea. And I thought, wow, that's awfully patriotic, or is it? That's coming up. We'll get into that at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. This is worth mentioning more. I just kind of gave it a casual mention, but our holiday wish that we're doing with 93.9 The Eagle, this is so cool. So, we'll see a lot of stuff. It's that time of year. We are in the holidays, and I'm buying into that. What Hannah and Stephanie said last week, that now it's Halloween is over. We're in the holidays. Remember last week I was like, yeah, no. I've evolved my thinking on that.
Why?
I'll tell you, maybe 8:35. But this holiday wish thing that we're doing, this is so cool. So we'll do all the regular stuff, food drives, things like that. Holiday wish with Culligan Water, Missouri Vein Care, and Love Columbia. Go to our website. See how I can get somebody involved in that. We'll have more on that coming up at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
Stop by Club Car Wash today to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details on clubcarwash.com and find a location near you. It's 57 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Former President Trump loses in court to the House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the Capitol.
A federal judge has rejected former President Trump's request to block the release of documents, which include call logs, drafts of remarks, and handwritten notes from his chief of staff, Mark Meadows. In the ruling, the judge said that Congress had a strong public interest in obtaining the records and that President Biden has the authority to waive executive privilege over the documents.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The infrastructure spending plan passed by Congress is being promoted by President Biden in Baltimore today.
The bipartisan infrastructure bill approved last week provides $17 billion for ports. The administration plans to invest billions to upgrade inspection facilities and other modernization projects for shippers, truckers, and warehouses.
Fox's Jared Halpern. 267,000 Americans filed new unemployment claims last week. That's down from the week before. America's listening to Fox News.
.93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Already 57 right now in Columbia. Partly cloudy skies, a beautiful morning. Looking out the window and seeing the fall colors. Our high today, 68. Showers likely tonight, low near 45. And then on Veterans Day, sunshine tomorrow should be beautiful for the Ashland Veterans Day event, the Columbia events, Mexico events as well. Our high 54 degrees. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Moments from now at the Boone County Courthouse, Columbia murder suspect Joseph Elledge will be returning to the witness stand once again. He testified yesterday for more than 6.5 hours, at least 6.5 hours. He says his wife died after they argued and fought after he discovered she was allegedly exchanging sexually graphic messages with a man from China. Elledge is charged with first-degree murder for the 2019 death of his wife, Mengshi Ji. He testifies that he did not intentionally kill his wife, but panicked when she hit her head after an argument. And he tells the jury he put his wife's body in the trunk of her vehicle, drove to Rockbridge State Park. The next day, he used a shovel to bury her in a remote area. The child was in the car at the time. He could see the car. He testifies from where he was at Rockbridge State Park. He feels shame for what happened, according to his testimony. Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight aggressive in questioning Elledge. He says that Joseph Elledge has told thousands of lies, that he had threatened to kill his wife before. Again, the closing arguments could happen today. Right now, we're a little bit unsure of that. It all depends on how much time they continue with the cross-examination, which should start any moment now. Meantime, law enforcement agencies from across mid-Missouri are searching for a Boone County murder suspect who is on the run as we speak. He is 36-year-old Mark Allen Achterberg. He's charged with first-degree murder, accused of shooting and killing Justin Stidham on Monday afternoon. Stidham's home is on North Kent Drive. That's just north of Columbia. If you have any information on the suspect's whereabouts, you're urged to call Columbia Crime Stoppers, 573-875-TIPS. One other important note, there is a no bond warrant right now in effect for Mark Allen Achterberg. No bond warrant, that means that as soon as he is captured, he will be jailed immediately without any bond. Sedalia police say an 11-year-old is dead. She was struck by a vehicle earlier this week.
An 11-year-old girl from Sedalia Middle School was hit by a vehicle and killed Monday afternoon. The girl was hit by the car at North Engineer and East Saline Street around 3. Now neighbors who live at the scene say speeders come through the area on a daily basis, and they see more dangerous drivers every day. John Marsh, 93.9, The Eagle.
And two quick notes for you for Veterans Day. One, Ashland's mayor says space is still available for veterans or their loved ones who would like to purchase a paver in the new Veterans Memorial. That is at the Ashland City Park on North College. They have a big ribbon-cutting ceremony, 8:30 tomorrow. Everyone is welcome at the ceremony. Also a reminder, one of the biggest events in Jefferson City is tomorrow morning. It will be a mass. It's not just for Catholics. All religious and non-denominational folks are encouraged to attend. St. Peter Catholic Church will have the details on that coming up tomorrow morning bright and early, but they will have taps, and they are encouraging all of the veterans who've served in any of the branches to wear their outfits, their uniforms, and also their VFW and Legion caps. You're encouraged to wear those to Mass tomorrow at St. Peter's on Veterans Day. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you by Hemi Construction. Hemi Construction, homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, and Creek's Edge. Our news time, 8:35. In sports, Tiger men's basketball team, 5 players, double figures last night. Mizzou beat Central Michigan 78-68. Ronnie DeGray III leading the team 13 points and 12 rebounds. Our sports also brought to you by Hemi Construction. Our news time, 8:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads are quiet, and Brandon and I talked about this in one of our earlier newscasts. The rehabilitation of that Bagnell Dam Bridge in Lake Ozark is taking longer than expected. The workers have found that the bridge deck is in worse condition than anticipated, and once the bridge is reopened, they're going to have to do a load weight limit in place. So the bridge itself, the existing bridge there, 54, remains closed at the bridge until the project is complete. That's Business Route 54. And the Bagnell Dam Strip itself is still open, but there are delays. So be prepared for that if you're heading to Lake Ozark today. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Houseworth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I love that, fourth graders.
Yeah, from Southern Boone Elementary. We got to go to a Veterans Day Assembly concert last night. It was really special. We're celebrating Marine's birthday today. My dad's a Marine, and so getting to see his grandson sing, they sang that. They sang the Star Spangled Banner. They sang a lot of patriotic songs. They dressed in red, white, and blue. Good to see that we're, instilling and celebrating a love for our country with our youth.
That's what they're teaching at Southern Boone. Do we dare peek inside a classroom of another school district right now and see if they're reading Stamped or crap like that? Kudos to them as we get ready for Veterans Day, of course, tomorrow. And I do want to mention something really quick. Yesterday I was talking about being able to consume the Columbia Public School Board of Education meetings, and I was bragging on how well, for example, the city of Columbia, they show the meetings, and immediately the next day you can go back and watch the videos. And on the Columbia Public School Board website, you can go. I don't know how long it takes them to get the video posted. I know it's not the day after, but I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. There are places where you can go and actually, if you can't go to the meetings for the Columbia Public School Board specifically,
right,
places where you can watch it online.
That's right. Apple TV is one. We gave several examples earlier, and I know Michelle Baumstark was hearing that segment and texted us. I just didn't catch it until this was yesterday after I had just left to go to Elledge. But it's her and Aurora that are the two people that deal with the PR there at CPS, and I believe they do it. They may have some other folks involved. I believe it's the next day or the day after, but that is available, and it stays up for a month, is my understanding from talking to Michelle, so people can see that.
I appreciate. So yesterday I said something to the effect that I didn't think that they were that you could see them live online, and somebody within the school district was listening and contacted our newsroom and said, "Hey, just so you know, I was listening to the show, and you guys said this," and I wanted to say, you were listening. Good. Why don't you try doing that with some of your parents in the school district? Why don't you listen to them?
Well, and I have a nomination, I think, for Winner of the Week. We got a text from someone saying that the CPS sent out some sort of email that said now that the vaccines are available to the younger kids, and given that the numbers are kind of heading in the right direction, that they would at least consider dropping the mask mandate because vaccines are available for everybody. And he said, if that's the case, then why have we had the masks in the high school the whole time? Because those kids have been eligible from the very beginning. And I thought, Great point. So I'll nominate him for winner of the week because that is a really good point. If that logic applies now, then it should have been applying to the kids older than 12 the whole time.
And a lot of the teachers in the Columbia Public School District, they know masks don't work, and I'll tell you why I know that, and I'll have no hesitation in saying this, is because they're posting pictures on social media where they're in these crowds, and they're in situations where they don't have to wear the mask. But they're around a bunch of other people. So they know the masks, they know they don't work. They know the vaccines, whatever, we're going to do. They know that. There's pictures. It's easy to find with these people in Columbia. And not all teachers. There are some very fine teachers who, by the way, I feel bad because it's this cloak. It's schools. It's not everything in the schools. There are some teachers that are against what's happening specifically in the Columbia Public School District. There's another local news outlet this morning. I don't know if it's still posted on their website. We highlighted this morning. The headline. Here's my big thing with what's happening with Columbia Public Schools right now, from what I am hearing from parents. And I love that because we had somebody listening yesterday. Well, I was listening, and you need to correct this. I'm glad to do it.
And it was actually Michelle. Yeah, it was.
Good.
For sure.
You're listening to my show. Good. Listen to your parents. And I know somebody, and I have no qualms saying that. I don't. I'm not worried about it at all. Because what we are getting, me, lawmakers, other folks, can you talk to some of these people? They're saying these people are just not listening. Or when they do, it's kind of rude and dismissive. It's this power thing. That's what I am being told. You're listening to 93.9 The Eagle, the Columbia, to say what we're going to say next. Good. Listen to the parents. Take what they say seriously. These people are in tears. Coming to people like me and Chuck and Cherie Tolson-Reich. They're in tears and they're exasperated because they feel like they're not being heard. 874-9390. Gary, welcome into the show. What's up?
Hey, I would like somebody who's smarter than I am to go back and do some research on what the federal government and the scientists and what have you have told us. But if you think back, this virus is transmissible over, hundreds of feet and outdoors, and it's transmissible by touching stuff, so wipe down your packages, and when you come home from the grocery store, disinfect the boxes that you bought at the store, and, it'll live for days and days and days on rails and doorknobs, and all that stuff seems to have been dismissed.
Yeah.
But we still believe that you can put a piece of toilet paper in front of your face and that's going to stop the virus when the virus is way, 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 way more smaller than any of that.
And the other reason we know that these people don't believe it works, Gary, the other reason we know it, so a parent just sent a picture in a classroom, people not wearing masks. This just came in off the text, 874-9390. We know Pelosi, again, out in a large group of people, officiating a wedding. No mask, none of that stuff. John Kerry flying on airplanes, no mask. Gavin Newsom, no mask, despite the fact he wants people to wear masks. Here in Missouri, Sam Page, at the very least that we know about, telling everybody in St. Louis County wear a mask. He goes out and hangs out with people. So these are facts. Those things are undisputable. You cannot deny those are happening. These people are being hypocritical. They're saying, oh, you got to wear the mask, protect yourselves. Then they go out in public and don't do so. To your point, Gary, these politicians, they are sowing the most doubt, in my mind. Thank you for the phone call, 874-9390. That's why I get so mad sometimes.
You are getting so mad, and I thought we were going to talk your happy story about why you're in the Christmas spirit.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. All right, let's move forward. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Brian, how are you today?
I'll tell you, I'm a little worn out from this trial. It's been exhausting, to say the least. It's been but I'll tell you, it's one of the biggest ones we've had, probably the biggest one we've had in recent memory. Outside of Ryan Ferguson, I can't think of anything this big.
That can take an emotional toll, because I know you've been down there every day, and there's some ugly things that are being said. I remember years ago when I was a journalist in a courthouse following a trial, and I was reading some of the paperwork, and I couldn't do it. And it takes a toll. It wipes you out.
It really does. And I'd say that for the jury as well. I'm sure they're exhausted, and they a lot of them are older. much older than me, and I constantly have to get up and at least walk or get some water or whatever, and then not to mention what you just referenced, just the documents. Everything has been taken down from CaseNet. Their jury, even if someone wanted to, they really can't research it on CaseNet right now because of the level of security through the judge's order, but the stuff being said in court is just very, very, very graphic without going into any more detail.
Excellent work, and because I know a lot of folks around here, hey, what's happening there? What's going on?
Thank you, sir.
There is Hannah, the producer, fresh off. She was at a wedding. Unfortunately, It was not hers. Bums me out. Didn't catch the bouquet. She's bummed about that.
They didn't throw it.
Yeah, she was especially bummed about that, is what I'm hearing from the wedding. How are you today?
I am here. It was hard to wake up at 3:30 this morning after several days of getting to sleep in, but we made it on time.
Well, kudos. My name is Brandon Rathert. So I wanted to mention that I've evolved a little bit on an issue or a thing. Last week, it was Monday, day after Halloween, and Hannah posted the story on What's Hot with Hannah. Something we do every morning about 7:25-ish on 93.9 The Eagle, just something different, something people are talking about. And the story was more and more people consider the day after Halloween, that's the start of the holidays. And I'm, finger in the mouth gag reflex because, no, you should start around Thanksgiving. And here was my reasoning. Starting too soon, I love the feeling, but then by the time you even get close to Christmas, it's worn out.
Nope.
So I don't feel like it's the holidays, but something happened the other day, and I had an open mind. I listened to what you guys said. I had an open mind, and I kind of had a reimagining of my take on certain things. We'll have that coming up just a few minutes from now here on 93.9 The Eagle. It was something that you guys were really adamant about, and I was like, but I considered it. And yeah, I'm on board with it.
This is the show people are talking about. Wake Up Columbia with Brandon Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
The infrastructure is possibly not the only thing the president passed, because tabloids are reporting about Joe Biden's long fart at the global climate change gathering in Scotland. I can't believe he's already breaking promises on cutting dangerous emissions.
That's for you, Hannah and Stephanie. I know you like that kind of Hannah's back, so there you go. And apparently that's the thing. And did we ever get verification? Did the president indeed? I haven't even touched this because I'm uncomfortable with that kind of stuff. But there was a claim last week that the president of our United States of America apparently pulled off a.
It was trending on Twitter as hashtag Biden poopy pants.
Yes.
And no, there is no official confirmation. Just that he was there for a very long time and he changed his clothes.
I'm wondering who's doing the fact check on that claim that Biden crapped his pants.
It's Fartgate 2.0, I'm telling you. The original Fartgate was Eric Swalwell.
Oh, yeah. I remember that video. That was where with like the infrared camera behind him or something. Was that the one? Yeah.
The claim was that a mug slid across the desk, and that's what made the fart noise, but I am still not convinced. So that was the OG Fartgate. This is Fartgate 2.0, and it might be better than the original.
Stephen Colbert picking up on it last night. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Hannah the producer. My name is Brandon Rathert. So I wanted to highlight this because it is actually kind of cool. Monday after Halloween last week, Hannah posted something, What's Hot with Hannah. We do it every morning, 7:25, just kind of things that are hot, things people are talking about. And it was more and more people say holidays start the day after after Halloween. And I am an adamant no in that camp. And I love Christmas. I love the holidays, love the way that I feel during the holidays. But my biggest point of contention with that is, you start too early and it loses its steam before you get to Christmas.
Well, the argument that I was making is that psychologists are now saying that decorating for Christmas early can make you happier overall because it increases your serotonin levels, because it has that like nostalgia feeling and reminds you of like being a kid and like going to Christmas and things like that. So it actually makes you happier overall, scientifically speaking.
I think you're right. And I think so when my sister lives in Nashville, and last time I was there, she's like, we have to go to this place. It's like a Nashville dive bar, a staple, and it's called Santa's Pub. And like, I think the owner kind of looks like Santa, but the whole place is decked out like Christmas, but 365 days a year. And I think that's an excellent business model. I think every town should have a Christmas themed bar that anytime you want to get in the Christmas spirit, you can just go to that bar.
I like that. And I believe that stuff. Doing that stuff makes you feel better. The body releases chemicals that make you feel better. But my body will release those same chemicals if I do that the day before Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, as opposed to doing it now. But I got to tell you, I've evolved on that a little bit. I booked tickets to go see my kid and grandkids for Thanksgiving. And I thought of you guys as soon as I was done booking those tickets. I'm like, okay, it feels like the holidays now. And I felt really good. Obviously, I'm excited that I'm going to see my kid and grandkids, but I thought of you two and that conversation that we had.
Well, and when we were having the conversation, because my husband and I have had the same conversation about what's better, like the anticipation or the actual event. And when you're traveling, I think as a parent, that's like a big thing. And so a lot of people like to surprise their kids with Disney. And this is kind of our Disney year. And so we kind of had that conversation. Hey, do we want to do the, guess what, we're going to Disney today, Or does that kind of ruin the lead up of the months of looking forward to and talking about, hey, remember we're going to Disney and we're going to do this? And personally, I like having that trip and being able to talk to them and build up the anticipation of going on the trip.
It would be like going to a wedding and knowing they're going to throw the bouquet and you're going to catch it, right? And there's all that build up and anticipation. And you go to this wedding and you take time off work and you go over to Illinois and all your family's there. And then you find out they're not throwing a bouquet. And I wish you were watching.
Oh, Hannah doesn't have the video on herself because
It was very tactful.
If you were watching Wake Up Columbia on our YouTube channel, 93, you got to get into that, 93.9, The Eagle Live. Somebody has written the foreword for this book I'm writing about tips to make sure your spouse never cheats on you. Somebody's written a foreword to the book. Should we pick this up tomorrow?
It might be it's the funniest thing I've read in a while.
All right. So I joked about writing this book about, and somebody has written a foreword from the book, which I may have to write now. Gary Nolan, his show is next. Podcast should be up a little bit later today. See ya.
Bye.